to another edition of Common Sense.
Common sense approach to real estate.
I am Kurt Schenk from The Right Creative with the star.
The star, Carmen Lonardo from RE/MAX Realty Group.
Who has a nose for real estate.
A nose for real estate. I got to tell you something. We got a real star today. So,
yeah,
our guest.
So, Carmen Lonardo, before we get to our special guest, Carmen of RE/MAX, a Hall of Famer, by the way.
Hall of Famer.
We have an HOFer in our presence.
You just call me a heifer.
I did. All right.
Okay, no animal noises.
Before we get to Tracey, tell us how we can reach you before we get into the nitty and gritty here.
Call or text 233-4119. Fitz will flash my very long email address at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
If anybody wants to email, that's fine too. Or find me on Facebook. But call or text is the best way.
Okay, great. Yeah. So status quo with the current market, real estate now, kind of.
Yeah, no, everything seems to be going fine. The economy is still chugging away, and we have many irons in the fire for what I think is going to be a pretty productive spring market once it really opens up. So it's gonna.
Yeah, I heard everybody's saying it's going to be a big year again.
Yeah,
so
really, really, really big show.
Yeah, despite the coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
Okay. All right. Well, should we just get right to our guest?
We should. I'm really interested in today's topic. Tracey's going to tell us all about everything you've ever wanted to know about dimmer switches.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Pre-show, we were talking about dimmer switches.
Switches.
Yeah, and flavored water.
Flavored water.
Yeah. So, Tracey Deitz.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself and what you do and where you're from.
Sure. I am from Toronto, and
That's right, two Canadians.
We're both Canadians. I'm from Toronto, live here in Rochester for the last 8 years. I'm an interior designer, and I pivoted with my business about a year ago to almost exclusively do vacant staging. For those who don't know what vacant staging, it is a vacant home that we bring in our own furniture, art, and accessories to just make it look cozy and inviting, which is particularly important when you don't have any architectural elements in the home. That's when it's always a good idea to stage a vacant space.
And you're right, and I don't want to lose sight of that point. It is so much easier to market a home that has been professionally staged. That you've got some stuff in there to take pictures of. I'm sure we've all seen photos of listings where you've got a bedroom and you've got like walls, right? There's nothing there, right?
Right.
Having a professional stager come in and put in a bed and a dresser and a mirror and maybe some artwork really, really makes it look great.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the main living areas, when there's no fireplace, you don't have that element in the space. You really have to rely on the furniture and the art to make that space pop. So, yeah.
What are the circumstances where people are leaving a house vacant and they're trying to sell it?
Well, relocation is definitely a factor. I think we're in a very transient city where there's a lot of people coming in to work at the hospitals, the teaching facilities. There's also flipping. We have an incredible amount of people who have quit their day job and they're doing their side hustle full time and flipping homes. And it's really incredible to see because some people are flipping and others are really becoming more like a redeveloper. They are taking these properties and it's amazing what they're doing. The incredible style, design, the functionality of it. It's just really incredible to see and be a part of. It's really exciting.
They're also move up buyers or move down buyers that are buying non-contingent and then moving into the new place, and so now their old place is vacant. See a lot of those too.
Right, which to backtrack a little bit, I can't name what local news source it was, but we were talking to be open with the market. It's like, well, not much has changed, but they were talking about the amount of non-contingency sales are like skyrocketed, and people are walking in with cash now. And in a competitive environment,
it's not likely that a contingent offer is going to prevail. And let's be clear, what we mean by that, when we throw around that term contingent offer, we mean an offer that's contingent on the sale of another property.
Right. Okay.
Most offers are contingent; they have contingencies on them. Right.
Back to Tracey. So, how long do you have to stage a home? How long are you putting things in?
Sure.
Or is it a monthly agreement? Is it a 6 month or
we do 2 months? Okay. But our furniture usually we move it every 6 weeks. Okay. Just this natural sales cycle of the home. We stage it. Photos are taken professionally. The listing goes live. They have an open house. They start showing it. Offers accepted. Then they have to do a inspection where the family comes back, walks through the home. You definitely want it staged for that. And also for the mortgage appraisal. If it's not a cash offer, then you definitely want it. It can make a huge difference in what they see the value of the home being empty versus staged. So we're normally moving our furniture every 6 weeks, sometimes sooner, rarely longer than that.
Okay.
What you mentioned a lot of people are renovating and flipping and so forth. What are some of the some of the big go-to renovations that you see people making today?
Well, definitely the kitchens and baths. I'm seeing a lot more of the gliding glass doors, the higher end looking ones. A lot of footed vanities, double vanities going in, a lot of floating tubs. People are putting tubs back in to the bathrooms in the master. And then, a lot of no upper cabinets are still happening, which is really pretty look. Those are the main ones. Gas fireplaces, gas inserts, those are kind of what they're working with.
And what about, someone that needs to sell their home and they're on a fixed budget?
Sure.
They don't have a lot of cash to invest in a new kitchen or new baths. Are there some low cost, no cost things that they can do to sort of just revamp their house and make it look nice?
Sure, absolutely. I think that number one is clean and simple shows best. I always recommend people to take a photograph of the different areas of a room and look at that picture. They're also going through the process of purchasing a home, most likely. So look at those pictures, swipe and see, what does that room read to you? Like, do you have too many items in the space? Maybe the colors need to flow a little bit better. That would definitely be a small investment, but it's cans of paint, invite some friends over, and go through the house with one color. Also, if the kitchen is dated, and again, you're handy and you have the energy, you can paint those cabinets. I see even a lot of flippers are painting the cabinets because structurally they're beautiful. And maybe they're just a darker color that just isn't in style. Swapping out the hardware on the cabinetry, not only in the kitchen, but also in the bathrooms, give it a nice, fresh little look. But really, it's clean and simple is great. Just trying to clean out some of that extra furniture. The way we live in our homes, there's a lot of things that we overlook, and we forget that cabinet door doesn't have a knob on it, or that the back door sticks. Those are the little things you want to take care of and let people know that you've maintained your home.
Right. Now, in terms of color palettes, is that pretty much remained constant? Are there some changes in that? Or are we moving away from some of the richer earth tones that we used to see 10, 12 years ago?
We're moving away from gray. People are still, I started using gray as a designer well over 10 years ago. And a lot of the designers are like, I'm done. Don't ask me for gray. Charcoal is a little different than doing a light gray. But yeah, the gray is definitely, at least for designers, sometimes it takes another 2, 3, 4 years for that to become a little more mainstream. But definitely the neutral colors, the whites have been very popular for the last couple of years on the walls. My go-to is Benjamin Moore OC colors, or they're off-white colors. They have a little hint of color to them. And when you're selecting your paint colors, you always go to the floors. What is happening in the home? Do you have floors that are transitioning from maybe hardwood to carpet? You want to find one color that's going to look great with all the different floors you have in your home. And it's doable. You can do that. And it's not just getting a stark white. It's getting a blush of color, a little hint of color.
And do you play around with the different finishes on a wall? Does that help? Or?
I'm a fan of eggshell only. I know a lot of contractors like to paint with flat because it hides all the mess. But it's not recommended, especially in a family home, because just walking by with your coat or a bag could scuff the wall. So I'm definitely a big eggshell fan. It's scrubbable, great for families. And then baseboards, I like to use a pearl finish, which isn't quite a semi-gloss. It's a little bit softer, more like a furniture finish, but it's still very durable.
Wow. That sounds rich.
I have very particular taste.
Yeah. Fancy schmancy. What we were talking about lighting before we.
Yes.
So if we got color palettes, now what does the lighting lend to showing the home?
So a lot of people are putting in those beautiful recessed lights, those overhead lights that are fantastic. I love them. But in particular, when homes are being flipped, a lot of times they will skip putting the dimmers in. And it's huge. It's probably my number one pet peeve with a flip is that there are not dimmer switches. And at least they're expensive. Instead of paying $5.95, you're paying $34.95 per switch. But it really is worth every penny, especially when you come back and you're taking the photos of the home. It just gives a nice ambiance to the look. And nobody wants to live under a spotlight. So, when they end up moving in, well, maybe some people
Carmen does.
The star does.
Can you say that again?
The star does.
Thank you.
We won't put dimmers in your house.
There we go. Awesome. Spotlights.
Awesome.
But it really, it's a pretty huge impact that it can make.
And what about different, I don't know what the right term is for it, but different bulbs,
Yes.
LED, fluorescent, compact this, compact that.
So everything's going LED. It's hard to find the regular incandescent now, and they're very expensive when you do find them. So I have a preference. It is 2,700 kelvins, not to get all nerdy on lighting on you.
That's pretty nerdy.
Yeah. But I do like 2,700 kelvins translates to a nice warm glow. If you just go up to 3,000 kelvins, then it starts getting blue, and it's not very attractive. So you want something a little more homey and, not office-like.
Yeah, softer.
Softer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
Floors.
That's another pet peeve. A lot of, again, referring to people who are flipping homes, because, they're going in there and you're buying an almost brand new home with great bones because it was built long ago. And a lot of times there's hardwood, there's areas that have been damaged. So they get into that LVT, that luxury vinyl tile.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have There's some that is just phenomenal. We just did a home out in Penfield with the LVT, and it is smashing. And you really wouldn't know it was LVT when you walk in. And again, blonder hues, softer colors, no honey, very pale walls, very, very pretty. So I started seeing back home in the Shelter magazine that I still read, House and Home, these ads for $1 million homes and condos that they're putting LVT in. So I called, and I've been doing a little bit of research and what the market is doing there in Toronto with the more expensive homes, and they're starting to put this luxury vinyl tile in. So before, I would say anything over $165,000 here in Rochester, I really wouldn't recommend it, because who wants plastic floors?
Right.
But they're starting to get very sophisticated. And they're getting pricier as well, but it can be a nice look.
Look really sharp,
Yes.
And, I mean, you know what it is when you look at it, but they just look sharp.
They do.
My parents' old house, I don't know if you recall, that was LVT. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done. So,
but my pet peeve with that is, transitioning a natural wood to the LVT. And if it has to be done because maybe you pulled up linoleum and there wasn't any hardwood there, stay with the same color. Transition, right? When you see photos or when you go in people's homes and the wood floors aren't transitioning the same color, it just makes it choppy in the photos, and it just makes your house look so much smaller. Right. So if you can match the color, you may not be able to match the plank size or the style, but if you match the color, it really is going to flow better.
I've been in homes that, have had not only different flooring styles, like from room to room, but like different colors, and stark differences, from a really deep, rich mahogany to a blonde oak, and it's like, whoa, and that's hard to sell. I mean,
it is. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
But meanwhile, the folks have spent a lot of money to install that stuff.
And they could be new.
Yeah.
They could be like, I just installed these 3 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the hardwoods, they have original hardwoods, and these people just had to skedaddle out of town or didn't have the money to resurface them, clean them up, sand them down? What do you do in those situations?
Well, there's products out there, Rejuvenate. I have heard really bad things about it, and I've also seen amazing transformation of floors that I was shocked that they turned out so good, and they were pretty scuffed up. So you always want to do a sample on the floor, do a little test patch, but Rejuvenate can polish them up pretty nice.
I think people always ask, do we pull up the rugs? And I would pull up the rugs 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And I, I almost don't care what kind of shape the hardwoods are in.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
totally.
They can do a lot with hardwoods too.
Is that something you could even throw some area rugs down and plop a piece of furniture or something if there's...
I wouldn't even do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just leave the hardwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just the understanding that you're going to resurface them yourself when you buy the house.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that would all come out in the home inspection anyways, I'm sure. Right. But... yeah, I totally agree. I've quite often gone in and, pulled up the carpet in the corner and just been like, you have hardwoods under there. You really should be, people want hardwoods. They really do. Right. I'm so bummed when someone's flipping and I go into the family room and there's like carpeting. I'm like, people want hardwoods, at least in the main floor,
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
How about appliances? What do you do about that?
That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a vacant house, what if there are no appliances in the kitchen? That's got to look bad, right?
Yeah, I've seen both.
Or not? Okay.
I've seen both. The worst is when the appliances aren't in good shape and they're not attractive. But you can paint them.
Like the lime green and the almond and
the gold,
1978.
Exactly.
But I don't know, man. I mean, I walk into a kitchen without appliances and it looks naked.
Yes.
It looks unfinished.
It does.
That would be my take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just stark,
But by the same token, though, what looks to me just as hideous is you walk into, 1960s, 1970s kitchen, way dated, right? But clean and solid and, together. And you've got, brand new Samsung, glitzy stainless steel appliances that doesn't fit.
It doesn't look right.
Doesn't go, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you sort of need to temper what you're doing.
Okay.
Exactly.
What other sneaky tips do you have?
Other sneaky tips. Well, we talked about the paint color going through the home. And, just to go back to that for a little second, I love seeing these people, flipping the homes, putting like their design spin on it. But then you don't want to guess what people want. You don't want to guess what a potential buyer wants. So I think going through the home with one color, that way you give the potential buyer the opportunity to put their stamp on the home, and maybe they're going to do an accent wall, and kind of make it feel homey and like their own. My other tips, chandeliers. So a lot of times they leave them really high up on the ceiling. That's another pet peeve. The proper height for a chandelier, the bottom of the chandelier should be 66 inches from the floor.
Good
I never knew that.
Yes, there's an actual, yes. And then for the island pendants, you want to be between 60 and 66 inches from the floor, or 30, between 60 and 66 from the floor.
Okay.
Because again, a lot of times they look like flush mounts, but they're really pendants.
One of the things that cracks me up all the time, and it sounds mean, and maybe it is, but when you're walking through a vacant home with somebody, and they just like bang walk right into the chandelier.
Yes.
Because normally there'd be like a table there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that happens.
Let's go back to flooring for a second.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about carpeting.
Yes.
If you have to carpet,
yes.
What do you recommend?
I recommend, not, again, you don't want to guess what people want. So keeping it simple, maybe there's just like two tones in it that are really difficult to see that there are two different colors in it, but that just helps with footprints. Having the two different colors, but not going like black and chocolate brown with the beige in it, just try and keep it as neutral as possible. There are some area or some wall to wall that looks great with gray, looks great with beige. So,
what about pile?
The pile, if I was doing a design project, I would probably recommend like a loop and a pile, because again, that helps with footprints. But nothing too long.
Yeah. Nothing shaggy.
Nothing shaggy.
So Scoob.
A good underpad. That's where a lot of people go cheap on the underpad. And let me tell you, when you're walking up the stairs, because you've asked them to remove their shoes, you can feel everything under there.
Yeah, that's not good.
So if you're going with a less expensive carpet that could still look fantastic, get yourself a better underpad for sure.
What about restretching carpet?
Kicking the carpet?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's in good shape, absolutely.
I see that a lot in homes where it's sort of like buckled up. In
Yes.
the middle.
Yeah, it's all,
That's definitely a great idea.
And that's pretty inexpensive,
It's pretty inexpensive. You can find contractors who'll do it for you. Definitely.
$100 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I've never priced it out, but yeah, shouldn't be
good
more
tip.
than that.
That's a good tip. Yeah, that'd save you a lot of money.
Yes.
Staging the house.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned going through the whole house with one color, but what if there's a thematic room, a themed room, like specifically a baby room that's got, like Disney characters on it or a certain border?
Kind of like your bedroom, Kurt.
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar. I'm a big Frozen fan, so
we need to prove here.
One or two.
I haven't seen two yet. So, would you leave that possibly? No. So you'd blow that up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times nowadays, if it's done more recently, they're quite often removable.
Right.
So if they're removable, 100%. If there's a border going on in there and you have the budget for it, absolutely.
Okay.
People haven't done, wallpaper's been back in style since 2000, 2001. I mean, it's been back in style for a long time. People are like, oh, I heard wallpaper is just coming back in style. It's been around for a long time. But borders, I haven't seen that for a long time.
Okay.
And I would not recommend it.
All right.
A lot of helpful tips
Excellent.
here. I mean, so probably a lot more than people are able to digest in 20 or 30 minutes. So somebody wants to get a hold of you and
Sure.
pick your brain. How do they do that?
Absolutely. They can call me or text me at 585-404-6717, or they could go to my website, ReDesignedInc.com, ReDesignedInc.com. I have a newsletter there for staging tips for flippers and for homeowners.
Wow.
So they can
Yeah,
get
and social media, can they see some of your stuff there too?
Yes. I'm really big on Google Pages. I'm loving Google Pages right now. I'm a little weak on my Instagram, but I'll be kicking it up. So Instagram, you can find me at ReDesignedInc. Also Facebook, ReDesignedInc.
Okay, good.
And Pinterest. I love Pinterest.
Well, Pinterest is a perfect platform to show what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have a specific page just for homes that I've staged, but Pinterest is like my own little catalog. I shop it there first before I look online.
All right, so what a great time for
Yeah, Carmen Cooks.
Carmen Cooks.
Best part of the show.
Love it.
So, what are we doing in the kitchen lately, Carmen? Or what point of view?
I remember when I was a kid, we would, get together for holidays, and one of the aunts would always make these just delicious stuffed olives, and then they were like deep fried, and they're not like stuffed with like an almond or garlic or pimento. They're stuffed with Italian sausage.
Oh, now you're talking.
Oh, they're good. So I was flipping through a magazine, and I saw this recipe, and it just like I started to salivate. So I made them last week, and they were just fantastic.
Wow.
And they're super easy. I mean, they're a little labor intensive, but they're super easy. You make you get your Italian sausage, you stuff it in the olive, and then you gotta get the big green ones.
I was going to say it's got to be a large olive.
Right. And then you take that same stuffing, you mix it with some breadcrumbs and some eggs, and you sort of shape it around the outside of the olive, and you sort of deep fry them. And it's difficult not to eat as they're coming out of the fryer. Yeah, they're so good.
And are you buying these olives already pitted? Can you find large ones that are pitted?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I prefer the ones that are in a brine because they just have a little bit more zing to them.
Right.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
Sounds like a great appetizer, something to put out for people just to nosh while you're making the
making dinner. You have like a whole pile of them, on a plate, and people can help themselves.
Glass or bottle or 2 bottles of wine and maybe 3.
3, yeah.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you again, Tracey.
Thank you, guys.
Carmen, one more time, how can they reach you?
Call or text 233-4119. And, of course, my email address, carmen.lonardo@remax.net. And I'm all over social media and so forth, so you can find me there, too.
Yeah, easily. I'd like to thank Fitz here at RockVox. Always does a great job. If you're interested in doing a podcast, you don't know how to do it, or you don't have the gear, come here.
This is the way to do it.
This is the way to do it. Absolutely. And speaking of our podcast, Carmen Sense, if you enjoy it, please subscribe to us, rate us on your favorite platform. And I am Kurt Schenk with The Right Creative with Carmen Lonardo and the Carmen Sense Realty Show.
A common sense approach to real estate.
And we'll be back soon. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks, Tracey.
Thanks so much for having me.